Story 1. The Voice That Came from Inside the House. United States. People like to believe that danger announces itself. They imagine monsters as loud, ugly, obvious things. They imagine warning signs, red flags, a sense of dread that arrives before something terrible happens. But sometimes fear doesn't scream. Sometimes fear smiles. In the 1970s, across several American states, young women began disappearing. College campuses were shaken. Families waited by phones that never rang again. Police departments struggled to connect crimes that felt random, scattered, impossible to predict. And at the center of it all was a man who didn't look like a killer at all. His name was Ted Bundy, and if you had met him, you might have trusted him too. Ted Bundy was handsome, well-spoken, intelligent. He volunteered at a suicide prevention hotline. He studied law. He talked about politics. He knew how to listen. People described him as charming. Women described him as safe. That was the trap. Bundy understood something terrifying about human nature. People want to believe the best in others, and when someone appears injured, polite, or vulnerable, that instinct becomes even stronger. So he created a character. A man with a cast on his arm, a man who needed help carrying books, a man who couldn't possibly be dangerous. And women followed him. One of the earliest confirmed victims was Karen Sparks, a university student in Washington. In January 1974, Bundy broke into her dorm room while she slept. There was no warning, no scream that anyone heard in time. He beat her with a metal rod and sexually assaulted her, leaving her alive but permanently injured. Karen survived, but she could never describe her attacker clearly. His face remained blurred in her memory, like a dream turning into a nightmare. Bundy learned something from that attack. He learned he wanted more control, and next time he wouldn't leave survivors. As the months passed, women vanished from college campuses in Washington and Oregon. They disappeared in daylight, from libraries, from parking lots, from busy areas where no one imagined a violent crime could happen. Witnesses remembered seeing a man named Ted. He was polite, calm, friendly. He asked for help. Bundy used his voice like a weapon. He spoke softly, carefully. He made people relax. He made them feel needed. And once they were close enough, he struck. Inside his car, Bundy kept restraints hidden: handcuffs, rope, crowbars. The car was his moving crime scene, silent and ordinary on the outside. Once a victim was inside, escape was almost impossible. Bundy didn't just kill, he controlled. He kidnapped women, took them to remote locations, assaulted them, strangled them, and returned later to revisit the bodies. He applied makeup to their faces. He posed them. He talked to them. Death, to Bundy, was not the end. It was part of the experience. This detail would later horrify even the most hardened investigators. In 1974, Bundy moved to Utah. The murders followed him. Women disappeared from shopping malls, campuses, and streets. Different states, same pattern, same calm voice, same deception. Police began to suspect a serial killer, but evidence was thin. Witness descriptions were vague. A handsome man, brown hair, a nice smile. Hundreds of men fit that description. Bundy kept blending in. Then came Carol Duranche. Carol survived. In November 1974, Bundy attempted to kidnap her from a shopping mall in Utah, posing as a police officer. He told her there was a problem with her car and convinced her to come with him. But inside the car, something felt wrong. Bundy tried to handcuff her. Carol fought back. She escaped, and she reported him. Her testimony became one of the most important pieces of evidence against Bundy. For the first time, police had a victim who could describe him clearly, confidently, and publicly. Bundy was arrested in 1975. But the nightmare was far from over. Ted Bundy loved attention. He loved the courtroom. He defended himself, smiling, flirting, turning his trial into a performance. He proposed to a woman in court. He acted like a celebrity. And then, unbelievably, he escaped twice. In 1977, Bundy escaped from custody in Colorado and fled to Florida. What happened next was some of the most horrifying violence of his entire killing spree. On January 15, 1978, Bundy entered the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University. Inside were sleeping students. Bundy attacked brutally, bludgeoning and strangling young women in their beds. 2 were killed, others were left severely injured. It was chaotic, frantic, animalistic. This was no longer controlled. This was rage. Only weeks later, Bundy abducted Kimberly Leach, a 12-year-old girl from a school. He murdered her. This crime finally destroyed any illusion Bundy had built around himself. The charming man was gone. Only the monster remained. Ted Bundy was arrested again, tried, and convicted. In 1989, he was executed in Florida's electric chair. Outside the prison, people cheered. They celebrated his death. But for many families, there was no closure. Bodies were never found. Names were never confirmed. Questions were never answered. How many did he really kill? Bundy himself claimed dozens. Investigators believe the number may be much higher. The most terrifying thing about Ted Bundy isn't how he killed, it's how easily he was trusted. He didn't break into every home. Sometimes he was invited inside. And for a generation of Americans, that realization changed everything. Because after Ted Bundy, people stopped believing that danger always looked dangerous. Sometimes it looked friendly. Sometimes it sounded calm. Sometimes it asked for help. And sometimes it came from inside the house.
Story 2. The Family That Died Twice. Colorado, United States. Some crimes are loud. Sirens, screams, blood everywhere. But the most terrifying crimes are quiet. They happen in clean houses, in safe neighborhoods, in places where children ride bikes and neighbors wave at each other every morning. And when they are discovered, the horror doesn't explode. It sinks in slowly. This is one of those crimes. On the morning of August 13, 2018, Shanann Watts failed to answer her phone. That alone was strange. Shanann was the kind of person who replied immediately. She was active on social media, constantly updating friends and family. She shared everything: her work, her marriage, her children.
So when hours passed with no response, a friend became worried. By the afternoon, police were standing in front of a large beige house in Frederick, Colorado. A house that looked perfect. Too perfect. Inside that house lived Chris Watts, his pregnant wife Shannon, and their 2 daughters, Bella, 4 years old, and Celeste, 3. The image they projected online was happiness, smiles, family trips, birthday parties. But behind closed doors, something dark had already happened, something irreversible. When police knocked on the door, Chris Watts answered calmly, too calmly. His voice didn't shake, his hands didn't tremble. He told officers that Shannon had taken the girls to a friend's house after an argument. He said he didn't know where they were now. But nothing in the house supported that story. Shannon's car was still in the garage, her purse was inside, her phone was found between couch cushions, and her shoes were by the door. She never went anywhere without them. As the hours passed, Chris appeared on local news begging for his family to come home. But his words felt empty. There were no tears, no panic, only a strange performance of concern. And the longer he spoke, the more people felt something was wrong. Investigators quickly learned that Chris Watts had been having an affair, a secret relationship. And suddenly, the perfect husband image cracked. Police brought Chris in for questioning. They watched him closely, every breath, every pause, every lie. Eventually, under pressure, Chris told police a story. He claimed that he had come home from work early and found Shannon strangling their daughters. In a rage, he said, he killed her. He wanted to be seen as a grieving father, a man who snapped. But the story didn't fit the evidence. And the truth was far worse. Chris Watts murdered his wife. But that was not the worst part. In the early hours of August 13th, Chris strangled Shannon in their bed. She was pregnant, 15 weeks along. He wrapped his hands around her neck while she slept. She didn't fight back. She couldn't. After killing her, he wrapped her body in a sheet. And then he turned to his children. Bella and Celeste were still alive, still breathing, still trusting him. He loaded their mother's body into his truck. Then he placed his daughters in the back seat, one on each side, alive, in the dark, with their dead mother's body at their feet. The drive took nearly an hour of silence, an hour where Bella asked questions, an hour where Celeste slept. Chris later admitted that Bella asked, "Daddy, what are you doing?" He said nothing. They arrived at an oil site where Chris worked, a place isolated and quiet, a place no one would come. First, he buried Shannon in a shallow grave. Then he turned to his children. Chris killed Celeste first. He smothered her. She didn't fight much. She was too small, too tired. Bella watched. She understood what was happening. She cried. She begged. She said, "No, Daddy." Those words would later be repeated in court. They would echo through the room. Chris smothered Bella. She fought back. She knew she was dying. And still he continued. After killing his children, Chris placed their bodies into separate oil tanks, dropped them through small openings, sealed them inside, and left for work like nothing had happened. For days, the world searched for Shannon and her daughters. Vigils were held. People prayed. Chris stood beside them, watching, listening, knowing. But technology doesn't forget. Security footage contradicted his story. Phone records exposed his lies. And finally,
Under interrogation, Chris broke. He confessed. The confession wasn't emotional. It was flat, detailed, cold, like a man describing a task he completed. In November 2018, Chris Watts pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to life without parole. He will never be released. He will never see daylight as a free man again. But that doesn't end the horror, because the most terrifying question remains. How does a man live a normal life, kiss his children goodnight, and then calmly decide to erase them? Chris Watts didn't snap. He planned, he calculated, he chose. And that makes this crime unbearable. This was not a stranger in the night. This was not a break-in. This was a father, a husband, a man trusted by everyone around him. And the scariest part, there were no obvious warning signs. No screams the neighbors heard, no alarms, no chaos, just a quiet house, a silent drive, and a family that died twice. Once in the home, and once in the public's slow realization of what had really happened.
Story 3. She was gone before anyone noticed. Based on the real disappearance of Maura Murray, New Hampshire, United States. There are crimes with blood, and then there are crimes with silence. The second kind is worse, because silence leaves room for imagination, and imagination is cruel. On the night of February 9th, 2004, Maura Murray disappeared, and more than 20 years later, no one knows what happened to her. Not officially, not completely. Maura Murray was 21 years old. She was a nursing student, an athlete, smart, quiet, reserved, the kind of person who kept stress inside instead of showing it to the world. In the days before she vanished, something in her life was unraveling. She crashed her father's car. She was facing academic pressure. She emailed her professors saying she would be away for a week due to a family emergency. There was no family emergency. She packed her belongings, withdrew cash, printed directions, and then she drove north, alone. The road she chose was cold, dark, and unfamiliar. Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire. Forests on both sides, no streetlights, no houses close enough to hear a scream. At approximately 7:27 p.m., Maura crashed her car into a snowbank. The impact wasn't severe. The car was damaged but drivable. She wasn't seriously injured. She should have been fine. She wasn't. A local bus driver stopped to help. He asked if she wanted him to call the police. Maura said no. She told him she had already called roadside assistance. That was a lie. There was no call, no record, no signal strong enough to make one. The bus driver drove away, and Maura Murray was never seen again. Police arrived within minutes. The car was there. Maura was not. Her phone was gone. Her backpack was gone. There were no footprints leading far from the vehicle, despite fresh snow. No signs of a struggle. No blood. No evidence of violence. It was as if she had stepped out of reality. Search teams arrived quickly. Dogs traced her scent from the car, down the road, and then suddenly stopped, right in the middle of the street, as if she had gotten into another vehicle, as if someone had picked her up, or as if she had vanished. The woods were searched extensively. Helicopters, dogs, volunteers. Nothing. No clothing, no body, no trace. And the temperature that night dropped below freezing. If Maura had run into the forest, she would not have survived long. But no remains were ever found. The theories began almost immediately. Some believe Maura panicked and ran. Others believe she met someone on that road. Someone who saw a vulnerable young woman alone at night. Someone who offered help. That possibility is the most terrifying. Because Route 112 is not empty. Locals drive it. Truck drivers pass through. Anyone could have been there. Anyone could have stopped. Maura's family believe she did not run into the woods. They believe she was taken. And the more you examine the case, the harder it becomes to dismiss that idea. There were no signs of hypothermia, no belongings scattered in the forest, no evidence of prolonged wandering, and the timing was too perfect. Police arrived quickly, too quickly for her to disappear naturally. Then there are the strange details. Maura's phone has never been used again. Her bank account untouched. Her social security number inactive. No confirmed sightings. No DNA. Nothing. People don't just disappear like that, unless someone makes them disappear. Over the years, many suspects were considered. Locals, witnesses, passing drivers. None were charged. None were proven. And the case slowly grew colder. But it never went away. People still report strange feelings on that road. A sense of being watched, a heaviness. Drivers say they feel uncomfortable stopping there at night, as if something unfinished still lingers. Maura Murray didn't leave behind a crime scene filled with violence. She left behind a question mark. And question marks are the most haunting things of all. If she ran, where did she go? If she hid, why was she never found? If she accepted help, who offered it? And what did they do with her? Some believe Maura is still alive, that she escaped her life and started over. But that theory requires silence, a silence lasting decades. No contact, no mistake, no trace. That kind of silence is rare. Death is simpler. The most chilling possibility is this, that Maura made it into someone else's car, that she trusted the wrong stranger, and that the last sound she heard was an unfamiliar voice offering help, and that whatever happened next happened quietly. No witnesses, no noise, no evidence, just absence. Maura Murray didn't die loudly. She disappeared. And in true crime, disappearance is often worse than death, because death ends fear, but disappearance feeds it. Every day, forever. Somewhere, someone knows what happened to Maura Murray. Someone remembers that night clearly. The cold, the road, the girl standing alone. And until that person speaks, this story has no ending. Only silence.